about the unfortunate divorce between Jeannie Mai and rapper Jeezy. I have always been a fan of Jeannie Mai while she was on the Real TV show. And to be very transparent with you, I started following her once she got with Jeezy on her YouTube channel. I don't follow her as much anymore, but I wanted to come up with some personal branding, life lessons, business and career lessons that we can all learn from this situation. Um, I think that a lot of people are noticing that there are many different public figures that have public figure couples that have not been working out, especially over these last 3 years, but even more consistently, it seems like there's a new story coming up every week, every week or so, or it seems like every day. So I just wanted to go over some 8 strong points here that we can all learn from the Jeannie Mai and Jeezy situation. So number one, it's very important to be true to what's important to you. A lot of her clips from the Real TV, as she was a TV host on the show, are coming up with her making comments about, dark meat on the side and her preference for what she wanted as her main person in a relationship. And I think it's really important that we, as individuals, we have to be honest with ourselves with what works and what doesn't, because it's kind of like that TLC song, Don't Go Chasing Waterfalls, where you're kind of doing something a little different than what actually feels right to you. And I'm not saying that the love that she had for her husband, Jeezy, wasn't or isn't legitimate, but it sounded to me at that time that that was not necessarily her preference, going and dating someone of the African diaspora or the African American community. And maybe it would have worked out better for her if she had been honest with herself about that versus giving Jeezy, sorry, a chance and seeing how it would go. Now on Jeezy's side, I'm not a big fan of Jeezy, but when his music came out in the early 2000s, mid 2000s, I can't recall. I really liked his what he would call, thug motivation music. I thought it was very inspirational. So I was really more into his music at that time than after when he stopped doing music. I wasn't really tuning into seeing what he's been up to, but what I can remember is he's always been a bit of an introvert. Whenever we do see Jeezy on promotional marketing campaigns, doing interviews and stuff like that, it's usually to promote something that's tied to his business or promote something that's tied to his music. And in between that, obviously, you can check out his Instagram page. There's not really many personal posts about him, what he's into, and stuff like that. And I do believe that between these two people, Jeannie was more extroverted, and she wanted to continue to build her brand after the Real TV was canceled. I'm pretty confident that the hosts on that show were aware when this show was going to be canceled or stop filming. So a lot of them, including Adrienne Houghton, Adrienne Bailon is what her name used to be. They all started building out their channel, their YouTube channels, Instagrams, and stuff like that before the show canceled. So I totally understand too that Jeannie wanted to build out her YouTube channel, show vlogs of her and her family, show people a little bit more of a personal side to her, because she knew that the show would end and she wanted to continue her career in the entertainment industry, which there's nothing wrong with that. But when it comes to choosing a life partner, choosing a partner for dating or for marriage, I really think it's important that we as individuals, you, whoever is on the line, has a real conversation with that person to find out what it is, what the relationship will look like, what their expectations are of filming if you're an introvert, and how that's going to mean and feel to you. And we can go on to some other examples later on. Now, career focused and business wealthy individuals also does not mean that they'll be good husbands, good wives, or good parents. Now, this is not to take a dig at Jeannie Mai or Jeezy, but let's just be very honest. I do believe that Jeezy has several other children from other women that unfortunately did not work out. And that doesn't mean that people aren't able to get married, have children, and then remarry. We've seen this online with content creators. We've seen this in Hollywood. We probably know people personally that have successfully done it. But the reality is that I think that what might have fell short on Jeannie's side is maybe she did know about Jeezy's previous children and relationships that didn't work out. But I do think that a lot of people would look at that as a red flag and start asking questions to your partner that you're dating, or have you done healing? What went wrong? How did you contribute to the ending of those relationships? Because that will really give you an understanding of where that person is in life, what they learned, what they healed from, disempowering beliefs that maybe they had in that last relationship or last relationships that came to the end of it, so that you don't repeat history with this person. So I think that we have to be honest with ourselves, that there are people that are really good at money, people that are really good in their career, but what we as individuals have to look at is this person in front of me actually going to be good at being a parent, being a lifetime partner, being in a marriage, etc. And no one really has all the answers to that, but there are a series of energy, body language, life decisions, the way the person talks, what they say, that will really help you see if that person will repeat their past, or if they healed, did the inner work, and will be able to refrain from doing what they did again in previous relationships. Number three, for all my content creators online, um, especially those that, if you're in the Hollywood space or not, opening up about your weaknesses is a great thing because it helps you to connect with your audience. But we have to keep in mind that whatever's on the internet, it can be discovered, it can be found. Even if you delete things, sometimes people screen record things, sometimes people download things on the cloud, even though you deleted it personally on your channel, for example. So let's just take, for example, Jeannie was on the show. It was called The Real TV. She opened up a lot about herself. She opened up a lot about her preferences, her beliefs, what she liked, what she didn't like. And that was the whole theme, and um, that was the whole theme of the show. That's why people tuned in, and it had a really good going. It got Emmys. This show was really, really, it was one of my top favorites. I'm going to be very open with you about it. But what I think a lot of what she maybe didn't realize is that some of the controversial things that came out of her mouth could come out. Now, it's unfortunate that her and Jeezy's marriage did not work out, but now people are watching or remembering things that she said that maybe she didn't get in trouble for on the past because she was just being real. But now that this whole divorce situation is happening with her, people are now reviewing her past videos and checking to see what she said and seeing if it was her or if it was him, and so on and so forth. So I think that whatever you do, even if you're just having a personal account, there's just certain topics that are very controversial, like race, religion, what you like to do behind closed doors, if you know what I mean. I'm not going to get any deeper than that, but we have to keep in mind that the things that we say can haunt us, can come back, can be used against us, especially in this situation with all of Jeannie's interview clips are still on the Real TV YouTube channel. And Jeezy, he was a little bit more quiet, but I think that also people are taking clips from what he said, but they're not necessarily controversial things they're said. A lot of these clips that they're bringing up of Jeezy are just like things that happened in his past that he worked on, childhood experiences, etc. Now, for all of my couple bloggers and vloggers on the line, we have to have some real conversations about what certain things look like. So let's take, for example, having conversations before you take that next step in your marriage or long-term commitment, and asking yourself, okay, if you decide to have children, what's the social media presence going to look like? Or if your person is a public figure or is a content creator, having that conversation and saying, before you upload something on your YouTube channel, for example, or TikTok, can we have a conversation, because this is not going to impact you and help your personal brand. This is going to impact me. This is going to impact the family, our family name, our reputation, and so on and so forth. I also think that I was actually felt a little surprised that last Vietnam vlog video that Jeannie Mai had uploaded on her YouTube channel. When her and Jeezy went, as I was watching it in my one of my viral videos that are doing very well on YouTube Shorts, he looked a little bit as if he didn't want to be there. And in that moment, a couple of months ago, when I was watching that video, I thought maybe there was something going on in their relationship. A lot of people on TikTok and YouTube are saying in the comments, so why didn't you say something at that time? And I don't want to say something. This is a little off the straight and narrow path of the topic here. I didn't want to say anything because I don't make assumptions about anything. I like to have the facts first, especially when it comes to people's relationships. And but most importantly, I found out a couple of days ago that BET and People magazine published their vlog videos, got quotes from her from that trip. And apparently, when she and Jeezy went to Vietnam, she unfortunately did not tell him where they were going. She just kind of surprised him. They were on the plane and said, "We're going to my country." So that sounds very, very exciting, but depending on where their marriage was at that time, that could have been very frustrating for him. I also find it really interesting that one of his reps, I believe, came out and said that they had some cultural differences, and that one of the reasons why their marriage didn't work out is she spent too much time putting her personal life on social media. Maybe that was the breaking point for Jeezy. Maybe when he was there, it also looks like Jeannie might have had a professional photographer there, because some of the photos from their trip were actually shared with People magazine as well as BT. I'm not sure what other outlets. I don't know if she sold them to them or she gave it to them. But imagine being in a long-term committed relationship with somebody who is a public figure, and so are you, but you're more private than the other person, and they surprise you with a trip, and then you later realize that they took the video and photos and quotes from your experience and they sold it or gave it to a tabloid kind of gossipy kind of website that shows celebrity gossip and celebrity news. I think that may have been the breaking point, which is why a lot of people are putting the timing of that trip, which was, I believe, in May. A lot of people are thinking it was in June. Actually, on People and BT, that vlog that her and Jeezy did, it was actually published. One article published it May 22nd, the other article published it May 30th. So that trip was in May, and then she edited it and everything, and then probably published the video in June. So we have to be honest with ourselves and other people. I think that if they had a better communication, and I could be wrong, we don't know what happened behind closed doors, but if they had better, clear expectations and wants and desires about what her YouTube channel would look like, what they would talk about in interviews, maybe if they had a public relations branding rep or somebody to sit down with them and plan this out kind of like a business, maybe that would not be one of the reasons why he felt the need to leave their marriage. Now let's talk about marrying into different cultures. This could be marrying into a different race. This could be marrying into a different religious culture. Maybe you are in the same continent as somebody and you marry into a different caste system or a tribe, etc. Now these kind of relationships, I have not done any research, but in this particular situation, I've been reading a lot of comments on TikTok and YouTube. A lot of people are saying, well, because she's from Vietnam and he's African American, this relationship wouldn't have worked out. A lot of people were speculating that it would not work out. And I think that for people, let's just say people of the African diaspora, have to keep in mind that there are certain cultures, religions, and certain groups of people that have an anti-Black mindset. And to not saying that you can't find somebody in different religion or a different race, a different culture, tribe, etc. But we have to keep in mind those people who are of African descent, meaning you're Caribbean, African Canadian, African American, of African DNA, these kind of people like myself, we have to consider that if you're going to date somebody or marry someone from a different race, you have to ask yourself, does their race have an anti-Black mindset? Meaning, do they have a colorism issues? Yes, you might say in the African diaspora, there are colorism issues, but you have to keep these things in mind. Now, some people were saying that because Jeannie Mai was living with the mom and then the brother moved in, I think that was one of the things that I think Fox Soul, I forgot the TV personality, but he said he had the scoop and he said that because there was just the mother was always there and the brother was always there. I'm talking about Jeannie Mai's brother and mother was always there, and then there was Jeezy. And so in some cultures, that's completely normal. In some cultures, it's normal to have the husband or the wife move their mother in to teach the child a second language, teach the child or the mother or father if they're from a different race or culture, religion, etc. Sometimes that's normal for certain families to move their family in to help raise the child, to help build a foundation, to help in so many different ways, not just raising children, right? And yes, in the African American community, I'm not saying all, because some of them do like to live with their family and they do things like other groups of people do. But generally, on Jeezy's side, that might have been overwhelming for him. Maybe in his mind, he thought the first 2 years of marriage, it would just be him and Jeannie, and the family would be doing their own thing. So we don't know what happened behind closed doors, but and also to finances. You know, when you're marrying into different communities, you have to ask yourself, how do they look at money? Like, take for example, I grew up in a community back in the day where it was very multicultural. I had friends who would tell me that their family would spend $50,000 on marriages. While some people would say, you know what, I just want to get married with 1,000, 3,000, that's in my budget. But if you marry into a culture where 150,000 is the normal to have a wedding, and you're coming into this culture and you're saying, no, 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 I just want to spend 5 grand, 10 grand, you might insult the other person. So I'm not saying money might have been an issue with Jeannie Mai and Jeezy, but obviously the Vietnamese culture is way different than the African American culture. And according to his reps, they said the family had moved in and it was difficult for him. A lot of African American people, they might have their mom living with them if they're sick, or they might have a very big family and you know they're living in a big house and they have people. But again, some people are not down for that. So I am often wondering what kind of conversations were the two of these people having, or did one or the other say, yeah, I'm okay with this, and then they got married and they weren't really okay with it, and then they're like, okay, that's the last straw, I'm getting divorced. We have no idea, but let's continue. Now, a lot of people are bringing up Jeannie Mai, opening up about her anger issues, how, you know, I'm not going to say the word, but she was assaulted when she was young and she had anger. She was angry with her mother because she felt like her mom didn't protect her from a family member that, you know, intimately took advantage of her. I'm going to say that just to keep in line with the YouTube guidelines. So one of the first things that I believe Jeezy should have asked and Jeannie Mai should have asked herself before getting involved seriously was, how hurt am I from my childhood trauma? And if I have anger issues, am I doing therapy? Am I doing the healing work? Am I even ready to be married? Because again, I was a big fan, I am still a big fan, I guess, of the Real TV. And after she got a divorce with her first husband, it almost seemed like there was about 6 months to a year, and then she started dating this anonymous person, and then it came out later that she was dating Jeezy. Now, in my mind, I thought, well, Jeannie Mai was recently divorced. She's probably just gonna have fun. Jeezy's a rapper. None of this is really gonna go far. That's what I thought as a fan looking from the outside, but didn't happen that way. So we have to be honest with ourselves. Do we have issues that we're holding on to? Communication issues, financial issues, self-doubt issues. I can keep going. That could spill into a marriage, because when you get married and you close the doors, it's you and the other person when you get married. It's not just you. So I'm not blaming Jeannie Mai, because she said in one of her interviews, I think with Shannon Booty or something like that, sorry, let me know in the comments, but she told her that when she gets upset with Jeezy, he gets triggered and he gets angry. So I'm not blaming anybody. So I think, I'm just not even, I think, if anybody on the line has anger issues, you should not be getting married. Don't move in with somebody, because that's going to pour into your marriage. And if you think, or your, you know, commitment, and it's going to ruin what you have. Trust me. Now let's take a look here. Give up easily on romance. So I saw on my TikTok, had a couple of videos about this topic that did pretty good. And some people were saying Jeezy is a bandit. He just got up and left. He gave up too easily. Now, I'm going to be neutral here, but I think that there were some things that they could have done differently. I think if Jeannie Mai and Jeezy waited a little bit longer, dated a little bit longer, all my people on the line, don't know if you remember, but they were engaged for, I think, a year and a half or close to 2 years. And the rumor mill was like, it's Jeannie's fault. He's waiting. He kind of said in an interview, he's just waiting for her to get some things together, right? I don't know if that was the healing, the therapy, because she did admit that she does therapy, right? But I think if they dated a little bit longer, got engaged when she was healed, which probably could have taken a long time, everybody, because I think Jeannie Mai is 42, 44. I don't know. I'm not an ageist. But if we've been doing things for 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years of our life, it's not going to turn around because we met the man of our dreams or the woman of our dreams. It's going to turn around when we do the personal work. And I'm not blaming Jeannie, but I think if she dated, did the therapy, healed a bit, even if their engagement went on to 3 years, which some people would be like, oh no, I'm not going to be engaged for 3 years. I get it. But that's the point of the engagement phase, is to work out your finances and your issues before you take that next step. So I really wish that maybe they had taken a little bit longer to go to the aisle, because now look what happened, right? And so I'm just going to recap, getting close to the end here. Let me know if you have any comments or questions. But number one, be true to yourself. You know, Jeannie Mai's comments about dark meat on the side and white meat as a preference are going viral. I'm not saying she didn't love Jeezy. I'm not saying she wasn't attracted to Black men, African American men. But I think if she was really thought about after that first marriage, do I want to be with someone outside of the Caucasian race? Do I want to maybe stay in the Asian race? I think she should have taken a little bit more time to ask herself, do I really want to be with an African American man because my Vietnamese culture is like this and Jeezy's like this? And I think if she was honest with herself about what race of men was best for her, then did the work, then dated. Honestly, if she was my friend, I would tell her, Jeannie, I think the best thing for you to do is date Jeezy, but date other people and see what other cultures, if you don't want to date within your race or your community, date other people and see what works for you instead of just going with Jeezy because it feels right. Recap point number two. Just because somebody's career focused or business wealthy or successful, it doesn't mean they're going to be a good father. It doesn't mean they're going to be a good mother. It doesn't mean that they're going to be family oriented. Jeezy, he's obviously a very wealthy rapper, author, etc. But we can look in his past and see that he has different children from different mothers. So I think we have to be honest with ourselves and start asking ourselves, based on people's history, are they right for us from a long-term perspective for dating, marriage? It can even be if you're going to start a business or a startup and you're looking for a co-founder. Ask yourself, do their values match with yours? The point number three, content creators online, opening up about your weaknesses, cultural beliefs, religious beliefs, etc. So again, I believe that Jeannie Mai was really doing her best during the Real TV. She was open just like everybody else, all the other TV hosts on the show. But I think that what she failed to realize with that dark meat on the side, white meat was her preference. She failed to realize that what if the relationship with her in her first marriage didn't work out? What if she wanted to go and, try a dark-skinned person of the African American or African diaspora community? So we have to be careful what we say about our preferences on the internet, because it can come back. Like, let's just take a quick example. You're dating somebody, you say something about this. They Google you, they find you on Instagram, they see that you said something. That could be a reason why they don't want to date you anymore. So we have to be careful how we think about situations, how we communicate them, etc. Point number five, prospects past. So we have to look into the past of the people that we're getting to know, again, for personal, for business, for love, marriage, etc. Look at their past and find out, is there a repetitive history of them having broken marriages, being unfaithful? Is there a history of that person not being a dedicated mother, a dedicated father? Why would you think that you would be any different because they say you're the man or the woman of their dreams if they have a long history of not being stable in other relationships. So that's something to consider. Recap point number 6: marrying into different cultures, different communities, races, religions, etc. You have to do your research. You have to have real conversations with this person. I'm not suggesting that you treat it like an interrogation. You're just having open communication, finding out what their expectations. Here are some examples. What are your expectations on family living with your person when you first get married, the first 2 to 5 years? What are your expectations of hairstyles and language and culture and bringing the person back home? What are your expectations? You know, these kind of things. What would a perfect multicultural relationship look like? Because if the person that you're getting to know doesn't have the answers, it could be really, really terrible. You get married, you move in like this particular situation, and there are huge differences. Recap number 7: doing the healing work. If Jeannie Mai did the therapy, worked on some of her childhood and adult issues, maybe she could have had a better chance with Jeezy. Or maybe Jeezy was just not the right one, but it looked good because he was a rapper. You know, with the whole Jay-Z and Beyonce, Rihanna and A$AP Rocky, these couples that I just mentioned have a lot of issues. Maybe Jeannie at the time was excited to be with a rapper and wanted to build a mogul, kind of like Jay-Z and Beyonce, but we have no idea what happens behind closed doors. And but also just doing that therapy, spiritual inner work is really important when you make a long-term commitment. And then recap 8, number 8: did that person give up on romance easily? It looks like Jeannie Mai was with her first husband for 10 years, but unfortunately, rapper Jeezy has never been married. He has, again, many different children from different women. So I wouldn't say that's a red flag, but one of the first things maybe she should have asked, maybe she did, was, hey, Jeezy, notice you have a couple of children from past relationships, you've never been married. Why have you never been married? Why do you have children out of wedlock? Why do you have children that you're not supporting and being there full time for? I'm not saying Jeannie didn't have these questions, but these are questions that we can all ask people when we're out there getting to know other people, etc. And this also goes for your career too. If you want to start a business with somebody, you know, find out what their personal life is like. Have they had repetitive failed marriages? Do they go from one woman to the next? Now that's not to say a player or a playerette can't be a good business person, but find out what that person is behind closed doors, or what their thoughts on lifestyle and stuff, because that will give you an idea what the experience may or may not be with you. I really hope that this live stream of what we can learn from the Jeezy and Jeannie Mai divorce, life and career. Share this live stream with somebody if you feel that it can help them. I still like Jeannie Mai. I know that there were some things she was said about dark meat and all this other kind of stuff, but you know, everybody has weaknesses and things that they need to work on. I think the both of them were doing their best with what they knew how. It's really unfortunate that she might end up being, you know, what they call a baby mama, but it doesn't mean that there's no hope for her. I just really hope that the both of them, if they both want to get remarried, fix the issues that cause this and other relationships to not work out, so that it's not a repetitive broken heart, next person broken heart, because that can be damaging to the mind, body, and soul. I really hope that they co-parent peacefully and that they can both be there for the daughter, because I know they're adults, but I think for me, what I'm a little bit concerned about is how their daughter is going to take it. She's 1 year old. She gets a little older, realizing that daddy is not always there all the time, or whatever the case may be. I wish them both the best. You know, whatever comes out to be the facts or the truth, I'm going to be very, very neutral, because I think that they both had good intentions, whether it was to build a couple brand like Jay-Z and Beyonce, or to, you know, move on to the next chapter of their life as people in their 40s. But I just really hope that this is a learning lesson for everybody, and I don't wish any bad negativity towards any of them. And I'm not blaming fingers. I truly believe that even if one or the other was innocent in this case, they still chose each other. They still chose to have children or a child. They still chose to get married. So they're both accountable and responsible for where this marriage went. Anyways, let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know if there's any tips or advice that you want to share with the audience on how they can learn from this Jeannie Mai and Jeezy divorce. And thanks so much for joining me here live, everybody. Have a nice weekend and take care. Bye.